Whew, alrighty guys. This video is going to be relatively short. The purpose of this video is I just have to kind of go on a rant for a moment. I'm going to have a much more longer, drawn out, well thought out video that's going to come out as soon as I have time to put it together. But the video I want to talk about right now, or the topic is, I want to talk about politicians who are doing a complete 180 on police reform, or the way police are enforcing laws, criminal justice reform, reimagine public safety, all of these kinds of things. And the reason I'm talking about this is in the city of Columbus. The city of Columbus has been one of those bastions of stupid liberal ideas when it comes to criminal justice reform and the police. The mayor, removed $20 million from the Columbus police budget a couple years ago. When police officers were leaving the department, he said things like, that's fine, they can go be the police somewhere else. They're reluctant to change. He then, offered $200,000 for 100 police officers to leave the department. He then paid the executive staff each $500,000 to leave the department, stood up a civilian review board, called in the Department of Justice, did all of these things that were basically meant to hammer the police department. Say that, we're going to bring in social workers. We're going to make organizations other than law enforcement organizations responsible for responding to violent crime. Putting the health department in charge of reducing violence in the city, that kind of stuff. Ooh, there's a police car going by me with his woo-woos on. Good for you, buddy. Go get him. We also have the city attorney, Zach Klein, who issued a then permanent policy that was later rescinded, where it said that Columbus police would no longer be allowed to arrest people for non-violent misdemeanor offenses. So public order offenses like public intoxication, loud music, loud exhaust on cars, all of these kinds of like low-level minor crimes, stuff that we used to call the broken windows theory of policing, where you go into a neighborhood and you take care of all of the minor crimes, and you'll find that the larger crimes are no longer as prevalent. This is something that a lot of police officers subscribe to and believe in, but in 2020, the summer of love, we were told that that was now racist. And the city of Columbus went into an era where they actually published on their webpage that they were going to reimagine policing. So they didn't want police out there enforcing the law. They wanted to give people the opportunity to roam free, do all these things, yada, yada, yada. The response from the community to that has been an explosion in violence. The homicide rate doubled. It slowed down moderately the next year, but it's still damn near, it's up 60 to 70% what it was prior to 2020. It's been awful. Then the thing that was like the most unthinkable thing that happened was the Short North, the entertainment district of Columbus, Ohio, where people go to eat when they're visiting from out of town, like our international visitors that come for the Arnold Sports Festival, people that come for the basketball tournament, people that come to see hockey games, all of that stuff. The place where all of those people go has been absolutely overtaken by chaos and violence, where there's a shooting, there are shootings every weekend, and it seems like there's almost been at least one homicide almost every weekend in the Short North. In response to that, the mayor, the city council president, and the city attorney all held a press conference today where they announced that police are going to be down there in mass, that they're going to, they passed all this extra funding to put additional police down in the Short North. There's going to be police in cruisers. There's going to be police on bicycles. There's going to be foot patrols, and they're going to be doing strict enforcement. There's no parking that's going to be allowed on High Street, which is the main thoroughfare through there. Parking lots are going to be forced to close. Restaurants are being asked to close at midnight. They're going to put further regulations on food cart vendors, and they're going to have the police down there locking people up, enforcing the law, putting people in jail, doing all of these things. The amazing thing from my perspective when I watched this stuff all go down was that the result of their police reform, their reimagined policing, was exactly what we said it was going to be. When they started doing these things, making these decisions, starting this war on police, the police officers were out there saying, listen, you can't do this. This is going to bring chaos. You're going to see crime rise to levels that you've never seen it before. This is going to make our community unsafe. Unfortunately, this is the time where I'm going to stand here and say, I told you so. It's not something I like to do, especially in this particular instance, because the result of their bad decision literally has led to the deaths of hundreds of people who would not have died had they not made these decisions. If they would have laid off of the police, let the police do what it is that the police are supposed to do, to go out there and aggressively pursue these criminals, to enforce these public order offenses, these low-level crimes that will create an environment where people are following the law and they have respect for the rule of law, you will not see these larger magnitude crimes start to occur. You can't have police patrolling up and down the street in its absolute chaos and they're only allowed to enforce certain rules. This has an effect on the population. We've seen that effect on the population. Unfortunately, it's literally caused hundreds of people to die, and it's caused millions upon millions of dollars in property loss due to theft and criminal damaging and vandalism and that kind of stuff. In response to their own failed policies, these people are now doing a complete 180 on everything that they said that they wanted to do. They're asking the police to go out there and do strict enforcement. They had it was like an hour-long press conference today. So what I am going to do at my next convenience, which is probably going to be tomorrow morning, because I have a fun night of hanging out with the wife and kids tonight. Then I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow evening. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up early on Friday morning. I'll get my coffee going, and I'm going to start pulling up the articles from all of the stupid things that they did from 2020 up until now that caused this situation. I'm going to pull clips from their speeches and show you exactly what they said when they were making these decisions. And then I'm going to pair that up with this speech that they made today in the short north, talking about how the crime has risen to unacceptable levels and that we now need to crack down on it. Is the word schadenfreude, is that the word that I'm looking for? It's one of those things. It's like I said before, it's kind of sad. It's definitely an I told you so moment. Everything that we said was going to happen happened, and I'm glad that they're finally reversing course on this. But at the same time, I'm legitimately upset that it took this long. The things that have happened over the last 3 years are very upsetting to me. As a police officer, I took this job to make our community safer, to make our community better. And for the last 3 years, I've been forced to sit back and not act. I've been forced to sit back and watch people do the direct opposite of what I know to be the right thing. And the decision making was completely outside of my control. That's been a very painful thing for me to experience. Those things are beginning to be reversed, which is good. The unfortunate thing is that the people, I've said this many times before on videos, is that the people who are responsible for making these decisions, that are responsible for the decisions that led to all this excess death and property damage and destruction and loss of money and loss of people's livelihoods, the people that are responsible for that, there will be no repercussions for them. Nobody's going to vote them out, which is almost just as disheartening as watching this stuff all go down over the last couple of years and not being able to have any control over that. I think that's it for today's video, guys. I'll talk to you later.